I nearly lost my mind at the supermarket today when a random lady straight up started taking items out of my shopping cart and putting them in hers. No joke. I was grabbing some tomatoes in the produce section, turned around, and saw this woman casually plucking a pack of chicken and a box of cereal out of my cart as if it was up for grabs. At first, I honestly thought maybe I was mistaken. Like, is that actually my cart? But one glance confirmed it. Yep, that's my jacket in the child seat and my purse in the front basket. It was definitely my cart. So I said kind of loud, excuse me, that's my stuff. She barely even looked at me, just shrugged and said in this ridiculously dismissive tone, "Oh, I need this, sorry." Then she promptly placed my family-size pack of chicken breasts into her own cart, which already had a toddler in the seat and a few items. The kid was just staring at me with big eyes, clutching a half-eaten cookie. I was stunned for a second. I mean, who does that? I gave her a moment to maybe realize how insane that was. Instead, she reached back into my cart and grabbed a box of my favorite cereal. It was the last one on the shelf, by the way, and started to drop it into her cart as well. That snapped me out of my shock. I stepped forward and snatched the cereal box right out of her hand before it landed in her cart. I said, "No, that's mine. You can't just take stuff from my cart." My voice was shaking a bit because I couldn't believe this was actually happening in broad daylight at a normal supermarket on a Tuesday afternoon. The lady, let's call her entitled mom, EM for short, finally looked at me for real. She had that classic Karen haircut and an annoyed scowl on her face, like I was inconveniencing her. She goes, "I saw it in your cart, and I need it, okay? You don't look like you need it as much as I do. I have a family to feed." I was literally speechless for a second. I probably looked like a fish, opening and closing my mouth in disbelief. Then I managed, "Ma'am, I also have to feed myself with the groceries I chose. You can't just steal my groceries." I said it kind of incredulously, not even yelling yet. People near us were starting to glance over because our voices were getting louder. She rolled her eyes at me and actually scoffed. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. It's not stealing. It's shopping. You hadn't paid yet, so it's not yours." And she laughed like she'd just hit me with a brilliant logic bomb. I was floored. At this point, I was getting angry and shaky. It was in my cart. I selected those items already. You can't just come up and take them. That's not how shopping works. I said as calmly as I could, though my voice was definitely higher pitched and less calm by the second. EM shrugged again and said, "Well, it's how it works now. I have kids to take care of, so excuse me for prioritizing them over some random person." Then she actually tried to push past me with her cart, as if the conversation was over and she was just going to waltz away with my stuff. Oh, hell no. I wasn't about to let her go. I planted myself in front of her cart and grabbed the front of it so she couldn't just leave. My heart was pounding like crazy. I'm not usually confrontational, but this was beyond the pale. I said firmly, "Give me back my items now." Her eyes widened in anger that I dared block her. She yanked on her cart, trying to pull it away. The cart jerked to the side and actually slammed into my hip. Not super hard, but enough to hurt and definitely enough to shock me. "Get out of my way!" she snarled, her fake polite facade gone. Now she was full-on rage mode. "I'm not letting my babies starve because you want to hoard food you don't even need!" she yelled in my face. Side note, babies? She had one toddler in the cart seat. Maybe she had another kid at home, but calling grabbing chicken and cereal from me hoarding was wild. People were definitely watching now. I heard an older man behind me go, "Lady, what's going on?" I quickly said, without taking my eyes off EM, "She's taking items out of my cart." I was practically vibrating with anger and disbelief. EM then raised her voice even louder, addressing the onlookers like she was rallying a mob. "All I did was take something I needed that she had plenty of. She's young and single. She doesn't need all this food. I have children to feed." She was almost shrieking at this point. For the record, I never told her anything about me, so her assumptions about me being young and single and implying I don't need food were just that. Wild assumptions. I am actually single, but how the heck would she know? And since when do single people not need to eat? I guess because I look in my 20s and had no kids with me, she decided I was fair game for this nonsense. I shot back, "You don't know anything about me, and it doesn't matter if I'm feeding 10 kids or just myself. You can't steal other people's groceries." I was fully yelling now. My face was burning with rage and embarrassment. She then tried to physically grab the chicken pack out of her cart, my chicken, and clutch it to her chest, like we were in some bizarre tug-of-war. When I saw her grab my chicken that she'd swiped, I lunged for it too. So we both had our hands on this poor pack of chicken breasts in the middle of the produce aisle, tugging at it like lunatics. I shouted, "Let go!" and she screamed back, "No, it's mine!" Meanwhile, her toddler, sensing Mommy's unhinged energy, started wailing in the cart seat. EM then yelled at me, "See what you did? You're scaring my child." "Oh, I'm the one doing it. Sure, lady." At that point, a store employee finally rushed over. A young guy, maybe early 20s. He wedged himself between us, going, "Whoa, whoa, ladies! What's going on?" AM immediately launched into hysterics, pointing at me. "This woman is trying to steal my groceries out of my cart. She followed me and she's harassing me. She even grabbed my cart and won't let me leave." Her voice was all wobbly and exaggerated, totally fake distress. I couldn't believe the audacity and lies. I practically yelped, "What? That's literally backwards. She took my stuff first." I pointed at my cart, which now only had like half of what I originally had. I turned to the employee, desperate. I was shopping and she took items from my cart and put them in hers. The poor employee looked overwhelmed. He was like, okay, let's all calm down. But EM cut him off, still in fake victim mode. I have a child, and this crazy girl is yelling and scaring him. Her kid was crying because she was yelling, GS psych. She even tried to squeeze out some tears, voice all trembly. I can't believe you're taking her side. By now, a couple other shoppers had gathered at a distance, watching. One lady nearby piped up, raising her voice. I saw her take the stuff from that girl's cart while pointing at EM. Bless this stranger. Older lady with a no-nonsense perm, my hero. EM's crocodile tears dried up real fast when she heard that. She whirled on the helpful lady. Mind your own business, you old hag. Yep. She actually said that, so now EM managed to go from stealing to insulting an elderly woman in one go. Bystanders gasped. The employee was like, ma'am, please don't speak like that, to EM. Things were clearly out of hand, and he looked a bit panicked. He said, I'm calling my manager, and stepped aside to grab his walkie-talkie or phone. He probably didn't get paid enough for this drama. EM glared at me and the helpful lady, still clutching the pack of chicken like a prize. I still had the cereal box clutched to my chest. No way was I letting it go again. My heart was pounding and I was breathing like I'd run a marathon, full fight or flight mode, except I guess I was fighting. The manager arrived within maybe a minute. A stout, middle-aged guy with a name tag and a radio. He approached with that, I've seen it all manager look, but I could tell he was a bit taken aback by the scene. My cart pushed askew, items on the floor, a crying toddler, me red-faced, and EM looking livid and crazed. Manager raised his voice just enough to get our attention. What seems to be the problem here? Before I could even begin, EM jumps in, practically shouting, Thank goodness, sir, this woman, pointing a finger inches from my face, attacked me and tried to steal items out of my cart. I have my poor little child here and she scared him. Her kid was hiccup sobbing at this point, probably more from mom's yelling than anything. I was like, wait, what? I found my voice and overrode EM's theatrics. That is not what happened at all. I was so frustrated I could feel tears prickling, but I pushed them back. I urgently told the manager, Sir, I was shopping and this lady started taking things from my cart without asking. When I tried to get them back, she started yelling and causing a scene and wouldn't give my stuff back. I probably sounded a little frantic, but come on. EM interrupted again. Of course she did. She grabbed my cart and wouldn't let me go, and she yelled at my child, and she even tried to rip this chicken from my hands. She still had the chicken pack, clutched dramatically. The manager put up a hand, finally silencing her. He turned to me first, speaking calmly. You were shopping and she took your items? From your cart? I nodded furiously. Yes, she took that chicken. I pointed to the pack in her arms. And this cereal, held up my box, straight out of my cart. My cart's right there with some stuff missing because she literally stole them. My voice was shaky. EM started to chime in, but the manager snapped his gaze to her, eyebrows raised. Ma'am, please let me talk. She huffed, but actually shut up for the moment. Manager, in that tired, seen-it-all tone. If those items did come from her cart, I'm going to have to ask you to return them. EM's face went through several ugly contortions. Anger, panic, denial. She stammered. I grabbed them by mistake. I thought they were on a shelf, abandoned. Oh sure, my attended cart looked just like a shelf display. What an absolutely lame excuse. I let out an incredulous laugh. On a shelf? In a moving cart with my purse in it? The manager gave me a brief look to let him handle it, so I shut up, but I was fuming. He calmly said to EM, If it was a misunderstanding, that's fine. Just please put them back in her cart, and you can continue your shopping separately. EM tightened her grip on the chicken. I really need this, though. Can't she just go get another one? She whined. Unbelievable, I interjected. It was the last one, that's why I picked it up. The manager nodded, looking more stern. Ma'am, if it's the last one, it belongs to the customer who already had it in their cart. Please return it now. His voice had that authoritative tone now. EM then truly lost it. She shrieked. This is ridiculous! What about my child? How am I supposed to feed him now? She was yelling so loud, people in the next aisle could probably hear. The manager remained calm, but I could see he was done with her crap. At this point, a store security guard, thank goodness the store had one, had approached due to the commotion. He was a big guy in a security uniform coming up behind the manager. EM noticed him, and her eyes flickered, maybe realizing she was outnumbered now. Manager firmly, Ma'am, enough. Give her back her items right now, or I will have to escort you out of the store. The security guard stepped forward and added in a low, stern voice, You need to do as he says, ma'am. EM's face went pale and then red. She looked around as if hoping someone would back her up, but all she saw were disapproving stares. Realizing she had lost, she finally slammed the pack of chicken back into my cart. Then she snatched the cereal box from my hands, rude, and threw it into my cart as well, nearly hitting my purse. There! Take your stupid groceries, you selfish girl! She spat at me, actual spittle flying. I was so angry I was shaking, but also just relieved to have my stuff back. She wasn't quite done. As she grabbed her own cart, with just a few of her items and her bawling toddler, she glared at me with pure loathing. I hope you're happy starving a family. Oh, I was like, I hope you're happy teaching your kid to steal. Not my best comeback, but I was running on adrenaline and rage. She started to barrel off with her cart, but the manager signaled the security guard. The guard stepped in front of her cart, blocking her path. In a firm tone, he said, "Ma'am, you need to leave now. I'll escort you out." She looked like she might either burst into tears or start swinging. She opened her mouth, realized no one was on her side, and then snapped it shut. "Fine," she screamed, startling her poor kid again. "I don't even want to shop here anymore. This place is run by morons." And then as a grand finale, she kicked my cart. Yes, my poor shopping cart that had just been peacefully minding its own business. She kicked one of its wheels hard, sending my cart skidding a couple feet and actually into me. The cart banged against my side, and I yelped. My purse, which I had set in the child seat, toppled out and spilled my personal stuff, coins, keys, etc., everywhere on the floor. EM looked a bit shocked at what she'd done. I think even she realized she crossed a big line there. That's literally assault and property damage. Her expression flickered to fear, and without another word, she bolted around the security guard and sprinted for the exit, abandoning her cart entirely. The guard followed quickly on her heels, presumably to make sure she actually left and perhaps to get her license plate or something. I was left there trembling, my side hurting a bit, surrounded by scattered coins and receipts from my purse. The manager and the young employee immediately crouched down to help me gather my things. The older lady who had stood up for me patted my shoulder gently and said, "Honey, some people are just awful. I saw the whole thing. You did nothing wrong." At that point, I finally felt tears coming. Not angry tears anymore, but just shaken tears. I was so wound up and upset, I guess my body needed an outlet. I fought them off, though, just nodding at the kind lady. "Thank you," I croaked out. The manager was super nice. He kept asking if I was okay, if I needed medical help. I had a small bruise starting on my hip, and my side was sore where the cart hit, but nothing major. Mostly I was just shocked and frazzled. I told him I'd be fine. He apologized over and over for the incident, even though it was in no way the store's fault. He even offered to have someone escort me to my car when I was done, and said I could have a discount at checkout for the trouble. The employee had picked up the last of my coins and jokingly said, "At least you came away 2 cents richer," handing me a couple pennies. We all kind of chuckled lightly at that, which really helped diffuse the tension. I managed a genuine thank you guys to them. After a few deep breaths, I collected myself and finished my shopping as quickly as humanly possible. My nerves were shot. I kept looking over my shoulder every 2 seconds, afraid that psycho woman would come charging back in for round 2. Thankfully, she didn't. She was long gone. The manager insisted on ringing me up at a register himself and gave me 10% off my whole purchase. I thanked him profusely and accepted the escort to my car by the security guard, who had returned after ensuring EM left. As the guard walked me out, he actually laughed and said, "I've seen a lot of crazy here, but that was a new one." I laughed shakily and agreed. I loaded my groceries and finally got into my car. I sat there for a minute just processing and letting the adrenaline die down. I was physically okay, but my hands were trembling. I called my best friend on the drive home and blurted out the whole story, and she was aghast and then laughing, because who does that? When I got home and started unpacking, that's when the cherry on top revealed itself. I found a brown leather wallet sitting in my cart. It was wedged in a corner of the child seat part, where my jacket had been. It wasn't mine. I cautiously opened it, and lo and behold, staring back at me from a driver's license photo was EM's face. It was her wallet. She must have dropped it in the chaos when she kicked my cart and knocked my purse out. Maybe her own purse tipped over or something, and her wallet fell into my cart. Or perhaps Karma just wanted to double smack her. Either way, here I am, holding the entitled mom's entire wallet. Her ID, credit cards, some cash, even a family photo of her with the toddler and another kid. So yep, she has at least 2 kids, and I guess that was them in the photo. So, yeah, I have the crazy lady's wallet. What do I even do? Part of me is like, screw her, toss it. I would never actually steal it or anything, but I sure as heck am not eager to face her again. Another part of me feels like maybe I should show mercy and return it, because losing a wallet is a pain, and I'm not a vengeful person by nature. But I also really don't want another confrontation. She was unhinged. I'm thinking the best move might be to hand it over to the supermarket manager or the police station as lost property and let them deal with her. I definitely do not want to hand it to her in person, because who knows what she'd do. She might accuse me of stealing it or something crazy. In fact, I'm a little nervous she might try to somehow blame me anyway. For all I know, she's currently ranting on Facebook that some thief stole her wallet at the store, leaving out the part where it was karma for her own actions. Anyway, I haven't decided yet. The wallet is sitting on my kitchen table staring at me, judging me. I'm still shaken from today's chaos and just trying to calm down with some tea. I wanted to share this here first because WTF, I needed to vent. What would you guys do with the wallet? I kinda want to just hand it to the police and wash my hands of it. I'll figure it out tomorrow after I sleep off this adrenaline crash. If anything else happens, God forbid, I'll update. Right now I'm just, wow, what a day. P.S. To the lady who helped me in the store, you're an angel. Thank you. And to EM, if you somehow see this. Karma's a Update 1. Update. Wow, I did not expect so many people to read this. Hi everyone. So, a lot has happened in the aftermath of cart-napping Karen, as some of you dubbed her. Buckle up, here's the update. First off, I took a day to chill and decide what to do about EM's wallet. The next morning, I ended up calling the non-emergency police line to explain the situation. I figured if she did try to accuse me of theft or something, it's probably safer to go through official channels to return the wallet. Plus, I really did not want to see her face to face. The dispatcher was kind of thrown off. Wait, she took stuff from your cart and you have her wallet, huh? I had to give the Cliff's Notes version of the whole saga. They said I could bring the wallet into the station and file a report about the incident, which sounded good to me. So I went down to the police station that afternoon. Fun times. I was still nervous like I had done something wrong. Like would EM somehow have spun a story that gets me in trouble? I know I was the victim, but she literally lied to the manager that I attacked her, so who knows what BS she could spew to the cops. My anxiety was in overdrive. I shouldn't have worried so much. Turns out EM had already been in touch with the police, but not in the way I thought. Oh no, she didn't calmly report a lost wallet or anything. She tried to preemptively strike. According to the officer I spoke to, EM called them the day of the incident and told a sob story that basically went like this. She claimed I assaulted her in the supermarket and stole her wallet during the scuffle. Yes, you read that right. The gall of this woman. To lie to the police that I stole the wallet that she herself dropped while attacking me. Luckily, reality was not on her side. By the time I got to the station with the wallet, the police had already spoken with the store manager and reviewed some of the security camera footage. The manager actually called the police after EM stormed out to report the incident from the store's perspective, which I didn't know. He gave them a heads up that a customer was assaulted by another customer. Absolute legend. The officer I talked to basically said, yeah, when she called us ranting about a stolen wallet, we were already aware something had gone down at store. So we wanted to get your side of the story. I cannot express the wave of relief I felt. I gave the officer my full statement of the events from tomato section to checkout. I also handed over EM's wallet and said, I have zero interest in this, I just want to give it back through the proper channels. The officer nodded and joked, probably smart. If you'd shown up at her door, who knows what story we'd hear next. No kidding. They asked if I wanted to press charges for the physical aspect. She did bruise my hip, and technically that shove with the cart was assault. At the time, I was so done with it all, I told them I wasn't sure. I'm not a confrontational person, and the idea of dragging this out in court made me queasy. The officer said I could take a day to decide, and that in the meantime, they'd at least be filing an official report about the incident. EM would likely be warned to stay away from me regardless. I did ask, out of morbid curiosity, what happens if EM tries to insist I stole her wallet? The officer kind of smirked and said, well, we've reviewed the video. There was no point where you even came near her purse or pockets. In fact, it corroborates what you've said. It looks like her wallet fell when she knocked your purse over. Plus, you're here returning the wallet promptly. So, not very likely anyone's going to believe her. In officer speak, he was basically saying, she's full of it. They also had the statement from that older lady who witnessed it. Apparently, the manager took her name and number in case police needed a witness, and she validated my story to a T. Bless you, Mystery Isle Angel. So yeah, EM effectively shot herself in the foot. By lying to the cops after causing a scene caught on tape, she destroyed any credibility she might have had. The officer didn't say it outright, but I got the sense they were familiar with this woman, or at least this type of person. He did mention the store manager told them EM is banned from that supermarket now. Good. Enjoy driving an extra 20 minutes to buy your groceries, lady. I left the station feeling a mix of relief and lingering anger. I decided not to press charges for the minor injury, partially because it's fairly minor and I just want to move on, and partially because the police said they'd strongly warned EM that she could face charges for filing a false report if she kept pushing it. Essentially, they told her to back off. From what I heard, she was not happy when she came to retrieve her wallet and found out she was in hot water. Apparently, she gave a ton of attitude and it didn't go over well with the officers. Imagine that. So, at this point, I thought it was done. Wallet returned via police, crazy lady exposed as a liar, and I'm free to never deal with her again. Right? Ha! If only. Because of course this woman couldn't let things lie. A couple days later, I started getting Facebook messages from random strangers. They were local community group busybodies, apparently. Screenshots included. Turns out EM made a post in a local buy, sell, trade, town name Facebook group and on Nextdoor, ranting about me. Of course, she painted herself as the victim. Her post, which someone screenshotted and sent me via a mutual acquaintance who realized it was about me, was absolutely bonkers. It basically said, beware of a dangerous girl at store who attacked me and stole my wallet. If you see a brunette in her 20s with a cart, be careful, she is unstable, and blah blah. She literally described me and claimed I have her wallet and the cops wouldn't do anything, etc. Full of lies. The hilarious and wonderful part, people dragged her in the comments. Apparently a few folks from the supermarket that day, including my guardian angel lady, are in that FB group or saw the Nextdoor, and they called her out hard. They were like, that's not what happened. I was there and you snatched her groceries, lady. One person wrote, are you talking about the lady you tried to steal from? Because we saw you attack her. Maybe don't lie on Nextdoor. The ratio was not in her favor, let's say. EM then doubled down, of course, saying everyone was lying, she'd never do that, and that I planted my wallet on her or something insane. She actually theorized I somehow snuck my wallet into her purse to make her look bad. Bruh, I didn't even know her name until I saw her ID. People kept calling her out, and eventually the group admins deleted her posts for violating rules or something. And I assume she's been thoroughly embarrassed publicly. I was content to let her dig her own grave online and not engage. I don't use Nextdoor, and I'm not in that FB group, so I just watch the drama secondhand. My friends wanted me to reply to clear my name, But honestly, the folks in the comments did it for me. My reputation in this town is thankfully intact, and EM just looks like a lying fool. At this stage, I was like, phew, finally, the end of the madness. She's been shamed, I'm vindicated, life goes on. And indeed, for about a week, it was quiet. But there's always a but. Yesterday, something else happened. Something I truly did not expect. I'm still kind of shaking writing this because it was that absurd and scary. I almost didn't believe it was happening. I'll write another update ASAP. Need to gather my thoughts and file another police report. Ugh. The TLDR of Update 1. I turned in EM's wallet to the cops. She had already lied to them. Karma bit her in the butt thanks to video evidence and witness statements. She got publicly shamed on social media for lying. And she still hasn't learned her lesson, because apparently she decided to escalate this feud even further. Update 2 coming soon, and it's a doozy. Also, to everyone who told me, just toss the wallet or keep the cash. Haha. I admit the petty gremlin in me was tempted for a split second. But I'm glad I went the proper route. It definitely paid off having the law on my side in this. And I sure as heck don't need her bad karma by actually stooping to her level. Update 2. Okay, I really did not think I'd have to post another update, but here we are. It's been about a week since the grocery store incident. I thought EM had finally crawled back under her rock after being humiliated online. I was wrong. She had one more trick up her sleeve. Showing up at my freaking house. Yes, you read that correctly. Last evening, after a few days of quiet, EM came to my home. And she did not come in peace. A bit of background. I live in a small town, but I hadn't told EM anything personal about me. However, during the police process, some of that info, like my name, inevitably got to her, especially since she made that police report. My theory is that she somehow obtained my address either through public records after the police stuff, or, and this is scarier, she followed me or had someone get my license plate. I honestly wouldn't put it past her to have jotted down my plate number the day of, or had a flying monkey in that FB group who knew me. I'm not sure. It's unsettling that she found out where I live. So, I was at home yesterday around dinner time when I hear banging on my front door. Not knocking, banging like the cops were about to bust in. I peek out my front window, staying out of sight, and my stomach dropped. EM is on my porch and she brought a friend. Some big dude, her husband or brother maybe? He had that same angry sourpuss face. They're practically pounding on my door and I hear her voice yelling, "I know you're in there, you think you can hide?" I immediately dial 999. Just kidding, I dialed 911. I'm not UK, LOL. As I'm on the phone with the dispatcher, I hear EM shouting all kinds of nonsense. "You thief, come out and face me, and we'll stay here all night if we have to." Her guy friend was quieter but kept saying things like, "Open the damn door," and I swear I heard him kick the bottom of my door at one point. I was freaking out, but I tried to stay calm with the dispatcher, whispering that an insane woman from an incident I reported was now at my home trying to bust in. The dispatcher told me to go to an upstairs room if possible and wait for officers and do not engage with them. Roger that. While hunkered upstairs, I peeked out a window that has a view of my driveway. I saw a navy blue SUV I didn't recognize parked out front, probably big guy's vehicle. I also saw my poor potted plant that sits by my door get shoved off the porch by EM. Via my doorbell cam later, I confirmed she stomped on it. R.I.P. my fern. She was in full harpy mode, screaming that I ruined her life, and that I owed her. At one point, she actually yelled, "You're gonna pay for what you did," which made my blood run cold. What exactly did I do, lady? Save my own groceries? Also showing up with backup to intimidate me? Not a great look when you're claiming to be the victim. I didn't respond to any of her BS, but apparently her plan was to provoke me into coming out. Because then she started making bizarre threats, like, "I'll tell everyone what kind of person you really are. I know where you work." Spoiler. She does not. I never told her. More empty blustering, I guess. She also screeched, "I'll call the news. Don't think I won't." Lol, I would love the local news to hear this story, actually. Please do, Karen. Anyway, this nightmare probably lasted only 5 to 7 minutes, but felt like an hour. Then I saw flashing red and blue lights as 2 police cruisers came down my street. Thank goodness. The second EM and her muscle saw that, they booked it for their SUV. I ran downstairs to make sure they didn't try to do a hit and run. Or, well, foot and run. EM's dude peeled out so fast he left rubber on the road. The cops followed and actually stopped them down the street. One officer came to talk to me while another was with them. I was shaking but unhurt, just livid and freaked out. I showed the officer the doorbell footage of them pounding and threatening. Yep, got it all recorded. Technology is a wonder. He took notes and asked if I wanted to press charges for trespassing, harassment, property damage, my poor plant, and a scuff on my door, etc. I said, hell yes. This time I am absolutely pressing charges. Enough is enough. I let her off the hook for the cart attack, but coming to my home with a goon to threaten me? That crosses every line. Long story short, EM actually got arrested last night. I saw them put her in handcuffs through my window, which gave me a weird sense of vindication. Big dude wasn't arrested. My guess is he was just her ride enforcer, but he personally didn't damage anything except my door got a boot mark. Cops told him to stay away from me or he would face charges too. As EM was being put in the squad car, she was wailing, actual tears this time, screaming about how I'm a liar and she was just trying to talk, and that I'm the one who should be arrested. Yeah, good luck with that. The officers had heard enough by then, I think. Off she went. I have a feeling she'll be bailed out quickly, likely by angry dude. But I am pressing charges for harassment, trespassing, and whatever else they can stick on her. I also got a restraining order, emergency protective order, filed immediately. I'm done playing nice. Showing up at my house and frightening me, trashing my property. In front of my literal doorstep? Nope. Suffer the consequences, lady. I'll have to go give a more formal statement in the next day or so, and I plan to also relay the entire backstory so they see the pattern of her unhinged behavior. Maybe that will put her in deeper trouble. I'm safe, but I won't lie. I didn't sleep much last night. Every little sound made me jump. I've installed some extra security cameras, and my wonderful neighbor came over to help reinforce my door jamb. I hate that she has me feeling like I have to fortify my home against her. Who does that? My anxiety is pretty high, but I'm proud of myself for handling it the way I did. I never opened the door or engaged. I got evidence. I called for help. The system actually worked so far. I don't know what's going to happen to EM legally. Small-town drama like this, who knows? Maybe she'll get a fine or community service, maybe a short stay in jail if the judge is fed up. Or maybe just a slap on the wrist. I'll find out eventually. I'll update if there's a dramatic outcome, but if it's minor, I might just leave it here. I honestly just want this to be over.